In at number 10, Quicksilver. Coming in hot with a ton of arrogance and snobbery, this Flash ripoff is a very annoying superhero. Not only does he have a creepy obsession with his sister, but fans seem to find Quicksilver to be a little too obnoxious. In the X-Men cinematic universe, he made a thrilling scene-stealing appearance, but it's going to take a lot more than that for fans to forgive his truly unlikable nature.
You guys want? I didn't do anything. I've been here all day. No, you're not cops. Hey, what's with this gift to youngsters place?
In at number 9, Aquaman. Now, Fishboy does get a lot of shade thrown his way, but it's not all for nothing. Years of changing the image of Aquaman will do that to a superhero though. Most notably his Super Friends cartoon appearance as the blonde guy in a bright orange shirt who talks to fish. Even with a badass Aquaman played by Jason Momoa, it's hard to forget about those annoying clips of him giving public service announcements about boating safety.
Tusky says they look like they're sleeping.
Yeah. Sleeping with the fishes. Let's go, Aqualad.
In at number 8, Cyclops. For many comic book readers, Scott Summers is their favorite team leader. However, his very white bread personality has made him kind of annoying for the most part. Aside from being boring at times, a variety of stories from the early 2000s have attempted at altering his status as the teacher's pet. Stories such as the Astonishing X-Men through to the 2012 Marvel event Avengers vs. X-Men, where Scott kind of transformed into a fascinating yet flawed leader for the mutants. Although with the Brian Snyder film still in circulation, many see Cyclops to be an establishment brown-noser with a bad haircut from the 90s.
And at number 7, Thane. Thane is Thanos' son. And guess what, friends? He does not have the same ideologies as Daddy Dearest. So you probably know where this is going. In the comics, Thane is an Inhuman character who is revealed in the Infinity story arc. Essentially, Thanos hooked up with an Inhuman woman, got her pregnant, and then she ran away after Thanos and his army destroyed her tribe. Thanos would search for his long-lost son years later, using his Black Order to raise planets in search of the child, which eventually led him to Earth. Ebony Maw found the boy, built him a suit to contain his powers, and then tried to manipulate him into becoming the ruler of the universe. And finally, when Thane and Thanos do come into contact, Thane traps his father in a pocket limbo stasis. Yeah, that's gonna make Thanksgiving real awkward for the two of them.
Number 6, Iron Fist.
Hi, I'm Danny Rand. I've been away a long time.
Let's go, you don't belong here.
I'm Danny Rand. Guys, I just want to talk.
In a series that bored most to tears, his own Netflix series didn't do any favors for this annoying superhero. Besides the fact that he looks like a homeless hipster showing way too much chest, many fans refer to his character with such loving words as naive, irritating, and well, a nincompoop. Fans even applauded upon seeing Jessica Jones call out Danny Rand for being a bonehead like the rest of us were saying the whole time. Sometimes it's nice to see someone on screen that agrees with us. Considering he's meant to provide more of the comedic lines for the Defenders, it's still annoying to have the equivalent of a village idiot in the superhero category. Number 5, Lex Luthor. Again, I know you're probably screaming at your phone right now, but Lex Luthor is a villain. Just hear me out. After the events of Forever Evil, Lex Luthor didn't just become a hero, but he actually joined the Justice League. He even wore some cool looking Superman inspired armor following the last days of Superman. This lasted for nearly 3 years of him being a hero instead of a super evil guy. Now imagine from Superman's point of view how annoying this would be. Not only have you fought against this guy for decades, but then he joins your squad, defends Metropolis, and even steals your suit design? Can we get a copy strike on Lex Luthor? How annoying. Number 4, Guy Gardner. Looking like the Green Lantern's universe's version of Dumb and Dumber, Guy Gardner is a world-renowned confrontational antagonist, basically a professional shit disturber. He's the type of guy that would throw garbage out of the window of a self-driving Tesla. He's a bit of an odd lantern, but considering how many incredible Green Lanterns that there are, it's no surprise that he acts like a jerk for attention.
And at number 3, Punisher. It's not difficult for Frank Castle to get on someone's nerves. The nature of his character lends itself that way, with Castle preferring to work alone and preferring to use rather aggressive tactics, like murder, to defeat bad guys. Not that Logan has ever really been hindered all that much by an extreme sense of morality, if we're being honest though. Anywho, during Punisher Volume 6, Issue 17, Wolverine interferes with Castle's war on crime, so Castle gets real brutal with Logan. The skin on Logan's face is ripped off. Castle shoots him in the balls, saying, "They'll grow back. You're in my way here. Best if you sit the rest of this out." Then, when Logan doesn't give up, Punisher steamrolls him, crushing his body. Yeah, all in all, Wolverine gets his butt handed to him in a very brutal way.
In at number 2, Squirrel Girl. Within the last 3 years, Squirrel Girl made a miraculous comeback which followed a great run thanks to Ryan North and Eric Henderson's funny and upbeat take on the character. Without trying to come off as a Grinch here, let's not forget that for a long time she was quite possibly not only just one of the most hated, but most openly mocked characters in the comic books. The most annoying thing about her is that she was created to be able to beat out any other character that the writers want. Why, you ask? Because Squirrel Girl, that's why. It's like she has plot armor. Lastly, on our number 1 spot, Booster Gold.
This is unbelievable. I'm the only one here! It's all for me, baby! Guess it's time to hit it.
If you thought reality TV stars were annoying, Booster sets the gold standard for irritation. Constantly looking for an easy quest to gain fame as a hero, this annoying superhero has almost no moral or self-awareness for that matter. He's the type of guy that would get drunk at someone else's birthday and ask where his presents are, all while taking selfies in a pop-collar polo shirt. Plus, against all odds of interesting conversation, he finds a way to insert that he's from a future where he's famous. Even in his heroic moments, it's pretty hard to shake just how annoying this superhero can be.
Starting us off in at number 10, Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl is an underrated hero who in contemporary times has become an increasingly beloved fan favorite. She has quite the track record too. She's defeated Dr. Doom. She's defeated Galactus. Not too shabby for a girl who can communicate with adorable tree-loving rodents. And of course, she's defeated Thanos, much to his dismay. How exactly that happened, we'll never really know. It occurred entirely off panel, with the Watcher confirming what went down while Thanos lays on the ground knocked out. Surely that's something the big purple guy is embarrassed over. In at number 9, Hulk. While most of the numbers on our list pertain to the comics, let's take a gander at the MCU. One of the characters who annoys Thanos quite a bit in the cinematic universe is none other than Bruce Banner's Hulk. Just take a look at the beginning of Infinity War and you'll see why. Thanos tosses the giant green monster around like he's a toy, annoyed that he has to beat him down in order to finish up with the Asgardian refugee ship they're on. Then when Hulk is teleported over to Earth, he tells everyone that Thanos is coming and ruins Thanos' chance for a surprise attack. Yeah, I'd be pissed off at Banner too if I were in his big old purple shoes. In at number 8, Thor. Speaking of characters in the MCU who pissed off Thanos, Thor is definitely up there on that list. Dude literally almost killed him. Sorry, spoiler alert, but really, you probably should have seen Infinity War by now. Clicking on a Thanos themed video is not doing you any favors in that department. Anywho, Thanos gets the last laugh in this situation, which really grinds Thor's gears. Lots of gear grinding in this video. Needless to say, we're all hoping for a confrontation between the two in Endgame, and Thanos isn't going to let his near-death experience slide.
In at number 7, Emma Frost. Coming off as pretentious and insulting on a good day, Emma Frost, the once future White Queen, certainly worked hard for the outrage that came her way. She even enjoys it, which is probably more annoying than anything else. I mean, she literally ran a school for mutant supervillains that was competing with Xavier's. Plus, let's not forget during Grant Morrison's and Frank Quitely's new X-Men series launch, she basically had a full-on telepathic love affair with Cyclops with little to no regard for Jean Grey's feelings on the matter. I bet even if Jean had walked in on the two cheaters, Emma would have just shrugged and just acted as snide as usual.
And at number 6, MAR-VELL. MAR-VELL perhaps has one of the longest histories with Thanos on this list. Now, the very first iteration of Captain Marvel, MAR-VELL, fought against Thanos in the 70s, teaming up with Thanos' father, Mentor, and Eros in a conflict over the Cosmic Cube. Thanos gets a hold of the cube, and when his spirit leaves his body, MAR-VELL uses that as an opportunity to shatter the cube, ultimately undoing Thanos' actions. Later, when Captain Marvel was killed off via cancer in 1982, in The Death of Captain Marvel, a vision of Thanos would come to him, not as an enemy, but as a guide into the afterlife. So, all in all, despite being one of each other's greatest foes in the comics, the two did make amends. But back in the day, this Kree fighter was one hell of an antagonist to the Mad Titan. And at number 5, Emma Frost. Emma Frost is another character that has villainous roots, but became an anti-hero in her own right. Now, for starters, she has a long history of opposing the X-Men and fighting against them. On top of that, Emma has a pretty intense rivalry with Jean Grey, who happens to be the woman of Logan's affections on most days. So naturally, in terms of trust between the two, there ain't much there. She sees him as a bit of a lowlife. Emma is also often on Cyclops' side when Logan and Cyclops duke it out, and she's fought against one of Logan's favorite people, Kitty Pryde. All in all, they don't have a lot of common ground. So while the two haven't really duked it out physically in the past, insulting one another is nothing new to them. Second nature, really. But funny enough, in the recent Infinity Warp story arc, Wolverine and Emma end up being amalgamated into a single character. Guess they're more alike than either is willing to admit. In at number 4, Lockjaw. Thanos' encounter with Lockjaw definitely tops the list of the Mad Titan's most humiliating battles. Once upon a time, Lockjaw was the leader of the Pet Avengers. Yes, this is a thing that exists. The team would come across the Infinity Stones, and naturally, Thanos, wanting to take them for himself, would attempt to steal them away from this adorable group of crime fighters. Lockjaw uses the power of the stones to kick Thanos' butt and then sends the Mad Titan to another dimension, which all of his little furry friends love. Not like actual furries, like one of them's a cat. Another one's like a frog. It's a whole thing. They're all animals, yay.
Number 3, Orion. He's a brash hero that fights first and then thinks later, and with Orion's intro into the pages of Superman with the New 52, the two were destined to have conflicts. This is mostly due to the fact that Superman views Orion as a younger version of himself. That can be hard to admit though, so naturally, just like a young Superman would, it annoys the hell out of the New 52 Superman.
Moving on to number 2, Adam Warlock. Out of all of the heroes in the comics, Adam Warlock is the one who's likely off Thanos the most. He's thwarted Thanos' plans with the Infinity Gems multiple times. The two are practically arch nemeses, with Warlock having faced a handful of defeats by the Mad Titan himself. In the Infinity Gauntlet comic, which Infinity War is loosely based off of, Warlock is the one who ends up defeating Thanos with his master plan. And on top of all that, Warlock is also the one who confronts Thanos and calls him out for being the self-doubting, insecure little bitch that he is. Warlock is all like, I've been inside the Soul Stone, I know you better than you know yourself, and I know you believe you're not worthy. And Thanos is all like, oh yeah man, you're right. And he's so humiliated by it that he actually helps Warlock stop Nebula in the comics by getting the Infinity Gauntlet back from her. How she got it is a whole thing, you should totally read it, it's really great. While Warlock has yet to pop up in the MCU, if Thanos isn't flat out killed in Avengers Endgame, it would be super fascinating to watch these two interact with one another on the big screen in the future. Finally, in at number 1, Deadpool. Arguably, given their history together and the fact that Warlock has thwarted the Mad Titan multiple times, you might think that he would, get the number 1 spot on this list. But instead, that goes to the man who has taken the one thing from Thanos that he's truly ever loved, death. Yes, that's right, the entity Death. The entity who, in the comics, motivates and manipulates Thanos to do all of the terrible things that he does. Death wants the universe balanced, and Thanos does that with the Infinity Gems. Death has also been quite absent from the MCU, with strong speculation that she won't be making an appearance in Endgame despite Thanos' deep-rooted history with her in the comics. Anywho, back on track here. Once upon a time, Deadpool competed against Thanos for Death's affections, and won. Death had the hots for Deadpool. Thanos didn't like that. So he cursed Deadpool with immortality so he could never truly have Death as his own. Talk about major jealousy issues. Death still ignores Thanos even with Wade Wilson out of the picture. And if you've read Infinity Gauntlet, you know how extra Thanos gets over Death. He literally used the gems to create a brand new side chick who looks just like him, by the way, to try to piss Death off, which also didn't work. So imagine his disdain when she's all over Deadpool and not him. The two had a hilarious limited series together called Deadpool vs. Thanos where all of that went down.
In at number 10, Lobo.
Hey, Trice, what do you think?
I think you're a certifiable madman.
Thanks.
Although he's by most standards an anti-hero, Lobo had recent appearances in the Justice League of America which brought him closer to being a hero. He has had his moments of being a hero for years until something serves him more, then he just is quick to turn. But still, because he's a fairly unkempt looking dude, he gets on the nerves of the very well put together Clark Kent. Yes, the two have worked together when it benefited the both of them, but it wasn't unusual to see the pair throwing punches at one another. Number 9, Booster Gold. Booster has been working his way up the superhero ladder for a long time trying to become a household name, but with guys like Superman around, that makes things super difficult. See what I did there? Initially he came from the future to use his knowledge to make a name for himself in the history books, but when that didn't work out, he began to annoy heroes like Superman. Even Batman has lost his cool on Booster. Superman and Booster work together for the Justice League, and occasionally Booster Gold can win him over, but for the most part he annoys Superman with his selfish attitude. Number 8, John Constantine. John is polar opposites of Superman, even more so than any villain he's faced before. Constantine smokes, he drinks, he's a womanizer, and Superman, more than his powers, he depends on that silver tongue of his to get him out of sticky situations. Plus, more than anything, Superman just hates magic. Clark Kent does his best to be polite to everyone that he meets, but it's clear that Superman doesn't agree with the way that Constantine behaves.
In at 7, Magneto. Alright, so Magneto is technically a villain, but at times he's played the role of an anti-hero, and Wolverine's sheer aggravation with Eric has played out for a long time in the comics, so we had to include him on our list. Now when it comes down to it, it's for the most obvious reason that Wolverine gets annoyed by him. Magneto is capable of manipulating metals. Wolverine's skeleton is adamantium. Therefore, Magneto can really f with Logan, and has done so plenty of times over the years. Hell, he's even done it in the X-Men cinematic adaptation, starting with the very first X-Men Fox film. It's sort of a staple in their relationship, really. Magneto once ripped the adamantium straight from Wolverine's body too, so you can see why Logan would hold a grudge.
Number 6, Guy Gardner. Ever since the pair worked together in the Justice League, Guy Gardner's arrogant behavior has just rubbed Superman the wrong way. It's important to know that most of the heroes respect the Green Lanterns because, well, they're sort of the only ones policing the galaxy. But with so many personalities in the Green Lantern Corps, one of them was bound to upset a hero. The two have only had minor interactions, but always seem to butt heads. Number 5, Hawkman. I'm sure you could count Hawkman's fans on one hand at this point, so let's be honest, no one really likes Hawkman. I mean, comment your favorite Hawkman moment from the last 12 years that was, well, loved by all. Oh wait. You got nothing, right? If you did, congratulations, you are now officially the head of the Hawkman fan club. At his peak, oops, almost said beak, he probably was his best bird in Timothy Truman's Hawkworld and during his run in the Justice Society of America. However, he just hasn't had any modern moments that really entice readers to believe he's nothing more than a chicken man. Number 4, Vartox. The two were once allies, but from time to time would butt heads, literally, mainly over their shared love for Lana Lang. Vartox first came to Earth with hopes of avenging his late wife, which brought the two of them together. However, after Crisis on Infinite Earths, Vartox's character quickly turned to someone that wouldn't just get in arguments with Superman, but one who would be constantly at odds with him. Vartox does make the odd appearance in Superman's life, but mainly remains as a Power Girl character.
In at number 3, Drax. While some of you may be familiar with Drax's vendetta against Thanos in the MCU, those of you who are familiar with the comics know that the character has had quite the history with the Mad Titan, right down to his very creation. Created by Jim Starlin, who also created Thanos, Drax the Destroyer first appeared in the Invincible Iron Man issue 55 back in 1973, the same issue as the Mad Titan's introduction. Drax was a human man named Arthur Douglas, whose family was killed by Thanos when he was cruising around Earth. Thanos thought that Arthur and his family had spotted him, so just to be sure, he kills them while they're driving through a desert. Mentor, Thanos' father, and Titan god Kronos decide that a champion is needed to bring Thanos' threat to an end. So they take Arthur's spirit and put it inside a new, incredibly powerful body, Drax. Drax's whole purpose in life from that moment onwards is to kill Thanos. Now during that first appearance he fights alongside Iron Man and the Blood Brothers, but Thanos manages to escape. Then begins a long crusade of him trying to take out Thanos while other heroes, the likes of Captain Marvel, the original MAR-VELL, the Avengers, and Adam Warlock go after the Mad Titan, all of whom are seemingly more equipped to do so. Needless to say, Drax has been a major nuisance to Thanos on screen and in the panels.
Number 2, Aquaman. Although they may be on the same team for the most part, Superman and Aquaman have not seen eye to eye on several occasions. They may only be tolerating each other out of the necessity and overall benefit for the Justice League. Aquaman, though, for the most part, doesn't trust surface dwellers, as the Atlantean calls them. In the world of Injustice Gods Among Us, Superman had much disdain for Atlantis because it gave birth to Arthur's regime. Even in Kingdom Come, Aquaman annoyed Superman when he refused to help the surface dwellers imprison high-profile criminals. Lastly, in our number 1 spot, Batman.
Hit it.
Enough!
You're adorable.
What are you gonna do, sweetie? Burn us with your magic eyes? That'd be a first. You always use it for something.
Besides that college humor video showing how ridiculous it is that Superman is trying to help a hero with no superpowers, the pair did not have the best first impression either. The first thing that Batman said to Superman upon meeting him was that he would set off a hidden bomb that would endanger an innocent person if he laid a finger on him. Sure, he was bluffing, but Batman's dark nature and violent resolutions to problems never sits well with Superman. Even his loyalties seem to be skewed at times, which annoys Superman the most.
In at number number 10, the Hulk. The Hulk was Wolverine's first real opponent, technically speaking. Wolverine was introduced in the Incredible Hulk issue 180, with a full appearance in the following issue 181 back in 1974. The two fought each other initially before teaming up to take on a Wendigo. Since, they've had a frenemy relationship at best, and often find themselves clashing and getting into a scuffle with one another. Wolverine once stuck his claws in the Hulk's eyes. Hulk has beaten Wolverine to a pulp in World War Hulk. Hulk has literally torn Wolverine in half too. Then in Old Man Logan, their conflict really comes to a head with the Hulk and his family becoming Wolverine's biggest threats, with Logan tearing him up from the inside out in order to defeat him. But the two have had some nice moments as well, like in the Infinity Gauntlet series, when the Hulk returns begrudgingly to help the heroes of Earth fight against Thanos. The two sit upon a rooftop and Hulk tells him that he's come to the conclusion that he likes Wolverine. When Logan asks why, Hulk responds, "Because in our own ways, we're both monsters, pal." And at number 9, Spider-Man. Spider-Man is one of the few Marvel heroes who have managed to completely humiliate Wolverine in the past. Sounds like one hell of a reason to hold a grudge, eh? In 1987, the two shared an issue together called Spider-Man vs. Wolverine, in which Wolverine pushes Spider-Man into doing something that he isn't overly proud of, and the two part ways on pretty negative terms. Spider-Man has also webbed Wolverine up, trapping him on one occasion, placing Logan's fist right next to his temples, to ensure that the character couldn't break free of his confines easily. Peter Parker isn't the only one wearing Spidey's mantle that has humiliated Logan either. In Avenging Spider-Man Volume 1 Issue 16, when Otto Octavius was the superior Spider-Man, he really gave Logan the beating of a lifetime, smashing Logan's head into cement and declaring in his inner monologue that not only is he superior, but that he really showed him. Talk about cocky. And at number 8, Quentin Quire. Quentin Quire, aka Kid Omega, got on Wolverine's nerves during the Alpha vs. Omega storyline, but he was annoying long before that. At one point, when he was fairly new at the Xavier Mansion, he started a riot. When Logan was the headmaster of the school, Kid Omega, who doesn't work well with authority figures if you kind of figure that one out, trapped Wolverine in a mindscape. Then in Alpha vs. Omega, Quentin created an entire world with his own psyche. Did we mention that he's an Omega level mutant, if his name didn't give that away? He then proceeded to put Wolverine's mind into his constructed world, forcing him into a coma, and that made Wolverine, along with Hisako Ichiki, to play along with a little game of his. Quentin loses, and Wolverine manages to teach him to respect his elders.
Number 7, Deathstroke. Now, before you get your panties in a bunch about Deathstroke being a villain, Slade Wilson though once saved the entire human race in Deathstroke the Terminator Annual Volume 1 Number 3, and as one of the only humans left alive, fought against genetics who were trying to become the dominant species on Earth. Although when he threatened the entire DCU and turned into an anti-hero, he came into conflict with Superman. Deathstroke really annoyed Clark though when he tried to hunt down his gal Lois Lane. Even with his heroic moments, Deathstroke just doesn't sit well in the eyes of Superman.
And at number 6, Gambit. Gambit often gets a lot of heat for being a character that annoys a whole lot of readers, and also characters in the Marvel Universe to boot. So naturally, he's had a little confrontation with Wolverine in the past, on multiple occasions actually. Perhaps the most famous of their kerfuffles was in Uncanny X-Men issue 273, which was their first noteworthy fight against one another. The two duked it out in the Danger Room while Gambit was fairly new to the team. Gambit had befriended Storm, which made Wolverine ever so slightly jealous. When Wolverine was unfairly distracted, Gambit made his move and pinned him to the floor with his staff, saying the words, "Bang, you dead." Yeah, you can see how that would get on Logan's nerves. The two would continue to duke it out in later issues of Uncanny X-Men that followed, often with one of them under the control of another force, like the Skrulls or the Shadow King. But they also continued to clash in Ultimate X-Men and X-Men Forever as well. And at 5, KA-ZAR. And perhaps one of the strangest enemies Thanos has ever faced, KA-ZAR in Volume 2 of his self-titled series, in issues 7 to 11 from 1998, faces off against the Mad Titan and manages to defeat him. Now, alright, for context, let's talk. KA-ZAR, if you didn't know, is a character who first debuted in the X-Men issue 10 back in 1965. But before then, he appeared in pulp magazines and in Timely Comics, Marvel's predecessor, making his debut in 1939. There's been 2 iterations. The second iteration is the one who fought Thanos. He's essentially Tarzan meets a caveman. Yeah. So the two fought over top a cavern filled with lava, with KA-ZAR dramatically kicking Thanos into said lava after thinking about how much he loved his son, which apparently gave him the energy to break free of Thanos' grip. All in all, it was a bit of a strange story, and Thanos would constantly refer to KA-ZAR as a savage. And at number 4, Namor. Namor is all about honor and ego, if we're being honest. But Namor was also the OG anti-hero, having been a villain prior to World War II, back when Marvel was still timely comics. So, as you can imagine, mix a personality like that with Wolverine's and not a whole lot of good will come of it. Both have a short fuse, and despite having worked together on multiple occasions, they often find themselves bickering, which then results in them punching the crap out of one another. They taunt each other too, which does not help. Wolverine claims that he could easily defeat the Submariner though if it really came down to it.
Number 3. Gambit. Flirting with anything that moves, Gambit deserves to be on this list. Flirting with anything that moves, Gambit deserves to be on this list more than most. In the comic books, he speaks with a very exaggerated French-American accent that reminds you of that annoying friend who spent a summer in France and insists on pronouncing it Paris. You mean Paris, right? Yes, that's what I said, Paris. His personality constantly drifts from being likable in one moment to eye-rolling in the next. Plus, let's not forget the time that he was a little bit responsible for the mutant massacre event where Mr. Sinister's marauders killed innocent mutants.
And at number 2, Deadpool. There aren't many heroes out there in the Marvel Universe who can say that at some point they haven't been annoyed by Deadpool. But really, that's part of his charm, isn't it? Anywho, in this case, with Wolverine, the Merc with the Mouth has gotten on Logan's nerves plenty of time. Wolverine's short temper doesn't bode well with the eccentric chaotic killer. Even when Deadpool joined up with Logan's uncanny X-Force, Logan lost control of him pretty quick, causing them to argue quite a bit. The two have duked it out on multiple occasions to boot. And even when they have gotten along, Wolverine doesn't waste the opportunity to really give it to Deadpool. Once upon a time, when Deadpool wanted to give Old Man Logan props, he said to the grisly character to not leave him hanging. And, well, Logan didn't. But he also sunk his claws into Deadpool's fist. Oh, the lulz. And finally, in at number 1, Cyclops. It's no secret that Logan and Scott have never really been the best of buds. Scott is with Jean Grey, Logan loves Jean. It's a love triangle for the ages, people. Even though Scott at times has been a pretty crap boyfriend slash husband. Anywho, with that underlying tension, the two often don't see eye to eye when it comes to what's best for mutant kind. One arc in particular really depicted that. Schism event. With the entire group of X-Men on opposite sides of ideology, Wolverine led one side with Cyclops leading the other. And when Cyclops begins to lose his shit a little, it's Wolverine who needs to call him out on it. Cyclops went radical and ordered young mutants to kill, something that Logan was not cool with, especially since Cyclops seemed to be pulling inspiration from another one of Wolverine's most disliked foes, Magneto. All in all, the two never really got along that well.